Folks, we're back. Round two. Okay? 4 nights to get through. We can do it. 8 matches, no problem. Um, Rough first round. A few more matches to look forward to the second round. And it all kicks off with Shingo Takagi versus Don Fale. If you can imagine, this has a lot of interference in it. The story they actually tell in ring is really fun, with Don Fale obviously being humongous, Shingo being a strong man. That story is kind of told out through a lot of attempts by Shingo to lift up the big man fighting out of it, Shingo trying to chop him down using his quickness and ultimately using his power. Um, this is in a big, bright gymnasium, which of course happens on a lot of New Japan tours. This one, they interestingly, like, they aren't able to dim the lights, so I think they turn all the lights off and they light up the ring with like this kind of purpley blue tone, which I think makes this match better, but I couldn't totally tell. Whatever. It was nice. It wasn't a big bright gymnasium, which we get to later in the round. But yeah, whatever. Of course, there's 20 seconds in ref bump. Lots of bullshit. Um, yeah, huge pop when Shingo finally does get Fale up. I don't even know. This one's just like um, big guy, small guy, lots of interference. Shingo ends up hitting a big pumping bomber, which Don Fale kind of bumps for. And gets the 1, 2, 3, which is great. Shingo's moving on. I don't know. It was just more House of Torture stuff, which I'll continue talking about throughout this entire show, but just not something I need to see. This was fine for what it was with the cheating and stuff. It was obviously Don Fale does need these guys to help him to win, so I didn't have a huge problem with it, but it just was more of the same. Um, Next matchup, good one here. Drilla Maloney versus Yuya Uemura. Drilla, of course, representing Unbound Company, and Yuya repping Hontai. Drilla's looking very jacked. Some really good mat work, of course, by Yuya in this, but also by Drilla, who is trying to carve out his own little lane within Unbound Company after the War Dogs have left. So he mixes in a little bit more Brit rest than I think we're used to seeing. So he's got some technical chops for sure. Obviously, we're used to his power, some of his junior stuff he does, some kicks, etc. But he did some really nice mat work in this one with Yuya. Of course, they're working each other's limbs. Everything is super crisp and snappy in this one. Drilla hits a big spear. The crowd is over for Drilla in this, which I wasn't super surprised about, because of how excited they were that he was staying. I mean, he had his own announcement post match to announce that he wasn't leaving, and he's super over, but a little bit surprising, I suppose. Big spear, Drilla Killa is what gets hit in this one on Yuya, and crowd fully buys it, rolls him over for the pin. 1, 2, and then Yuya flips him over, gets a quick 1, 2, 3. So they don't put Drilla over; they put Yuya over in a match that was very good. Like I would recommend watching this match. But the Drilla Killer remains one of the most protected moves in all of wrestling right now. Um, I don't think anyone's kicked out of it, and I wouldn't count this as a kick out because actually, you know what? I said 1, 2, and he rolls over. I don't even think he gets a two. I think it just or a one. It just goes to cover him, and Yuya flips it into a roll up. But yeah, after this night, honestly, like a decent start to round two. Um, the in ring stuff with Don Fale and Shingo was really fun, but of course, it was mired by House of Torture action. We move on to night nine, which starts us off with Satoshi Kojima, who's a replacement for Ishii, who had a bye. He, of course, is injured. He got injured in the match against Bolton Oleg in New Jersey a couple weeks ago. So heal up to the Stone Pitbull. But this is why we get Kojima in this one. It's his 10th New Japan Cup tournament in general. I don't think he's ever won one. Maybe this one. Just kidding. Just kidding around. Of course, he gets attacked before the bell by the House of Torture guys. Not a whole lot happens in this one. He doesn't bump a ton. Narita doesn't bump a ton. Crowd hates it. It's just not good. It's kind of embarrassing that I just don't understand why this is the type of match that Ren Narita should be able to win by himself as the leader at this point of House of Torture without any help. He's the never openweight champion. This is a replacement he's wrestling against, and it still devolves immediately into House of Torture bullshit. And I understand the utility of a heel stable. I do. As I mentioned in the first match against Shingo and Don Fale, he needs them because he can't beat Shingo. Ren Narita can beat Satoshi Kojima, who's a replacement in the tournament. They don't even deem him to be worthy enough of being in the initial group of 16 or however many wrestlers there are in this. And yet it requires a whole lot of House of Torture action to get Narita the win. So that's a piss off. I don't understand why these guys just can't win clean sometimes. They're bad guys, but like he's holding a title and he wasn't going to lose that title in this. There was no threat. Just moving on. We get, who do we get here? Oh yeah, Bolton Oleg and Henare. This is a fun one. These are two big bulls just smashing against each other, doing some big strong guy stuff. They both come out in a similar fashion where no real ring gear. Henare just has like these big dangly earrings on in his trunks, and Bolton just has a fur hat on in his trunks. It really just shows that these guys are here to do one thing, and that's wrestle. And we like that. They meet in the middle, slugging each other out. Couple big lariats, of course, in this. Henare just is a madman. This is a fun one, which Bolton ultimately does get the win on with a super kamikaze off the second rope. But the connective tissue between all of the big strong guy stuff and all the moves wasn't totally there for me. I thought these guys would be a little bit more familiar with one another than it looked like they were. So that was, I wouldn't say a letdown, but because it was still good. Definitely, yeah, definitely good. Thank you to Henare. Thank you to Oleg. But yeah, just the connective tissue between all the good stuff wasn't really there to make it a great match. You can watch it; it's fine. It's good. Like they do club each other, and at one point they are like clubbing each other, closed fist club, like Vader style, which is pretty sick. But yeah, night 6 was not as good as night 5. But we're going to move on to night 7, which is it takes place in a very bright and very sparsely attended gymnasium. And we got Callum Newman against Hartley Jackson, which I think in my last pod I poo-pooed a little bit, but this kicked ass. This has got to be Hartley Jackson's best singles wrestling match ever, maybe. He's just so beast, and Callum is willing to give him everything on every strike and everything like that. They wrestle in the crowd for a while, and Hartley just continually puts Callum into like rows and rows and rows of chairs. The crowd's going nuts. They're flying around like bowling pin. Not sorry, the chairs are not the crowd. The crowd's fine. the chairs are flying around like bowling pins. Um, Ultimately, Hartley takes the seat. There's a big drop kick by Callum Newman into the seat. There's a really cool part where Callum headbutts Hartley and he no sells it. Hits a big lariat and then a big senton. The crowd's going ape shit. It's good stuff. They're standing on the line mark, just slugging it out for a while. Callum Newman like is up on the top rope. He gets placed up there and he slithers out of it, and he hits a huge sit out power bomb on Hartley Jackson, who I think according to the commentary is like 290. Super impressive. They go back and forth for a while. Zayn Jake slides in a chair, and while the ref is like getting that out of the way, Callum Newman hits an Excalibur, which is that double foot stomp to the back. Um, I don't claim to be a Harley Jackson knower, but like I said, this has got to be his best work. Super fun, but yeah, Callum does move on, which of course we knew was going to happen. Second match of this night is Jake Lee and Goto. And this guy, Jake Lee, man, I tell you, he walks out extremely somberly. Like Charlie Brown music playing, George Michael Bluth dragging his feet. Jake comes out with like this stuffed monkey, like a stuffed animal. Um, and during Goto's entrance, Jake Lee and his monkey are sitting at the timekeeper's spot, like cross-legged and looking like a dipshit. Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that Jake Lee is just doing, I think, because he finds it funny or he's hoping that something catches on. He has this like black nitrile glove that he puts on briefly, and um, he does some sort of like Nakamura esque, like I forget what it's called, but he puts his leg on the guy and does the thing. But Jake does that with his black glove on the guy's face. Anyways, none of it really gets over. It sucks. This match largely is Jake Lee using his size, especially his legs, to keep Goto from getting too in close. Goto eventually does get in close, which causes an issue because he gets trapped in the same chokehold that took out his tag team partner Yoshihashi last round. He manages to fight out of that. He hits his two big moves, not like the big vertical suplex one, but like a GTW and a GTR, and that's enough to put down Jake Lee. I'm really glad that they put Goat over here. I was thinking maybe they might not, just because of how recently Jake Lee did challenge for the heavyweight championship, unsuccessfully. But I was a little worried that they tried to keep him kind of hot. Really glad to see that they only kept him lukewarm with that first round victory. Um, and then we get so that results in Callum Newman versus Goto coming up in the quarters, which is going to be a blast. Callum Newman last wrestled Goto when Goto had the championship at Wrestling Dontaku in 2025, an unsuccessful challenge. But that was one of the first nights I remember really thinking like, okay, I'm on board with Callum Newman. Although I still don't think he's 23 years old. That's, I don't know. He's got to be like 27 at least. Um, Anyways, we'll find out in a couple years, I'm sure. That's night 7 done. Not a great one, but it did get us that Hartley Jackson match, which, like I said, absolutely kicked ass. Go watch that match. It's super fun. Night 8, we find ourselves with Shota taking on Yujiro Takahashi, who got a first round bye. Right? Of course, Yujiro Takahashi has to get a first round bye. He comes out by himself with no House of Torture, and he says, "No, I'm doing this one all by myself," which of course everyone believes. House of Torture guys notoriously men of their word. Um, Shota looks like he's on the gas and kind of on that Swerve Strickland diet of steroids and whatever he wants to eat. He's looking pretty beefed, which isn't the worst look. But he's still got on these pink pants, trying to farm babyface energy from a crowd that doesn't really want to give it to him. Yujiro ends up taking off his House of Torture shirt. Kanemaru and Dick Togo come out, and he's like, "No, no, 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 no! You guys, I'm gonna do this one by myself." Um, of course, he doesn't do it by himself. He does look serviceable for quite a while. It's kind of fun to see Yujiro throw it back. Not that he was ever great, but back in the day when he was in a tag team with Naito before the excursion, totally serviceable. But at some point, of course, House of Torture comes in, and it sucks. This one, again, does make sense because Yujiro can't beat Shota by himself, but just the tease of he's going to do it by himself this time. Like, of course, we've seen that so many times. We saw it with Evil. We saw it with Ren Narita. It's just not going to happen. And I think when they do finally pull the trigger on it, it won't mean as much because they've teased it so many times. And I'd like to be wrong on this one. Hopefully, when it finally does happen, which I was hoping they would do with Evil and have him have this big baby face run, which didn't, of course, happen. But I hope that I am wrong and that when it does happen, people go nuts. But we'll see. Just kind of nonsensical to continue to do the same thing over and over again. Like I said, it's a fun match until it wasn't. And Yujiro can lose clean. Like, even if he does, lose clean, he should lose clean. He's fighting an up and coming top guy. He says, you know what, I'm going to do this one for Valor. I am going to wrestle this one by myself. And he loses. Easy enough. He loses. And then he can go back to being a shithead because he needs to rely on his faction to help him win matches, which he doesn't anyways, ever. Anyways, just more House of Torture bullshit. When will it end? And how will it end? If you have an idea of how it will end, let me know. Because I think we're certainly due for it. Yeah. Sorry, frustrated by that one. The last match of round 2 has us geared up for an intra-factional fight between the two top guys in TMDK. We've got Zack Sabre Jr., the front man, versus Ryohei Oiwa, the grip. And this match is fantastic. Go watch this match for sure. Before the opening lockup, we get some Oiwa chants. People are psyched to see him. He's looking great. And these guys are doing some capital W wrestling in there. They're fighting each other off. They're going back and forth with holds. They know what each other's going to do. Both of them are Yoshinori Ogawa trained guys. Both have these very interesting holds and way to get out of them. Of course, Zack is the best technical wrestler in the world, maybe ever. And Oiwa isn't that far behind, but he does have the element of power and speed as well, which plays into this one too, because there's a few spots in this one where a less strong guy wouldn't be able to escape some of these holds. And this one is just excellent. You've got to watch it if you're interested in New Japan in this tournament at all. I imagine you are a little bit interested if you're watching this. But they kind of go back and forth. Zack is working on the left arm of Oiwa, so he can't hit his big lariat. Oiwa is working on the leg of Zack Sabre Jr. He does a really cool. Actually, there's a couple devastating dragon screws in this that are must watch by themselves. And then Roy kind of goes into it's got like an ankle pick on him, but instead of staying behind Zack, he puts the ankle under his own arm and then straddles Zack's back. So he's kind of it's almost like a one-legged Boston crab, but facing the same direction as Zack is. So it's a really impactful looking ankle lock or pick or whatever that is. Crowd's super into this. There's a really cool rolling German suplex by Roy down the stretch. Roll out of the corner. big German suplex, bridge for 2, and on that 2, Zach counters into a nice like armbar, wrist lock. Um, yeah, there's a big Zach driver right after that Roy kicks out at 2. Crowd's going crazy. That gets us into the final stretch here. Zach kicks him a couple times. It's hurting his leg, but he's powering through. Roy hits him with a big lariat. It hurts his arm, but he's powering through. He goes for a big discus lariat, bounce off the ropes, and Zach catches him with a huge Zach driver, puts him down for 1, 2, 3. This match was great. It was beautiful wrestling. Go watch this match. This is what we're here for. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of House of Torture shit, but this is what we're here for. Zach moves on. Both guys remain um, on the mat for a long time. They're just wiped. They know what they just put on, and this allows the crowd to kind of give them their flowers throughout. Zach gets a little promo at the end saying he's the best fucking wrestler in the world. I'm not going to disagree with that, especially after that match. Um, he tells Roy to keep his head up. You know, he's got next kind of thing. Um, and they walk out of the ring back to the the dressing rooms there with their arms around each other. The rest of TMDK by their side, and things are looking good. Things are looking bright for Oiwa moving forward. Things are looking bright for Zach, who moves on to face Shota Umino in the next round. Shota, I believe, has had his number in the last few tournaments, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I could see them definitely putting over Shota. Um, Whoever wins that match will face the winner of Cal Newman versus Goto, which is another tasty one. Rematch from, like I said, Dantaku of last year. We also get Yuya versus Shingo and Bolton versus Ren Narita, which I don't like it. Hopefully Bolton goes over and we are free from the House of Torture for the semis and the main, or the semis and the final of this tournament. But we'll see. It should be super fun. I'm looking forward to these 4 matches in the quarters. I will come back to cover the quarters by themselves on probably early, what is it, Sunday? Probably Tuesday, I imagine. I'll be doing the quarter wrap, and then I'll come back on the 22nd to do semis and finals. I think we're going to have a good tournament down the stretch. The next 3 of the next 4 matches should be good to great. And the matches that I mentioned to watch during this round, watch. I'm watching them so you don't have to, but there are some you should. And I think that would be great to do. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. Any comments, any ideas on how we can get rid of the House of Torture? To what end we're doing this for? Leave them in the little comment section. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you so soon. Hopefully the day, wherever you are, is as beautiful as it is here. Get some sun, some vitamin D, have some water, and enjoy your time. Okay. Bye-bye.